guys, and welcome back to another episode of Draw with T. We've got another digital episode today, and the next few episodes are going to be digital, as I am taking all 4 of my Christmas card designs into the computer, because I work digitally. I'm actually a digital artist, despite all the sketching I've done. Well, I guess that technically does make me a traditional artist in a sense. It does make me a sketch artist. Anyways, as I've kind of teased you guys about previously, this is the Krampus card. I really like this card, and I really hope that this is a popular enough card that I can do both the printed, the folded card design and the postcard art design. I'm actually a bit worried that when I put this out and try to get some interest for some pre-orders that ain't nobody gonna be into it. Like, that it's so unpopular that I might not even be able to print this card. I might still get one printed. It's incredibly expensive to get 25 or less cards printed through the printer I use, but I might just get one printed just for myself and my display. Maybe in the future then I can get some more people that are interested in cards like this. The people that I mainly sell my cards to are family and friends of family. So, older people who aren't really, interested in this, but they might still buy it, because people have kids, people know young people my age. Well, I guess I'm still young. So there might be a bit there, but I don't know how popular this is going to be. I have a feeling it'll either be crazy popular or just forgotten about. But that'd be a pity, because I really like this card. As I've mentioned before, I did a little research on the Krampus last year. It just happened that I played a D&D adventure with the Krampus, and I thought, this is cool, but I bet he's not this cool in actuality. Turned out, yeah, no, he is as cool as that. And, I was starting to do sketches and stuff, and I came up with this idea of this sort of modern, punkish, kind of based on that 1950s bad boy biker with his hair isn't really 1950s biker, that's more of a mohawk, but the leather jacket with the studs and just like a bad guy smoking, which these days seems kind of old now that we've got vaping. I didn't want to make him vape though. He's just something like, he's a little bit more of a classic dude than a vaping Krampus. Maybe next year, if this card gets popular, next year I'll have him vaping. I don't smoke and I don't vape, so I'd have to look into how vapes look, but yeah. So it's a very, very basic card actually. It's mostly focused on just the design of this Krampus. It's a character design card where I'm struggling here with the hair, kind of stupidly, because I'm gonna end up deleting the work I do. That just happens, especially digitally, because you can go on forever. And sometimes you will. And here I'm just kind of forming the jacket. The jacket was something I hadn't really drawn much of, even in the sketches. I just kind of assumed that future Tegan would take care of it. She would, look it up and find a nice jacket and deal with it. Also, as you can see from where I've roughly placed the words, "You've been naughty," I didn't want to put a lot of effort into the jacket just to have to write some words over top. If I did put in the effort and I did write naughty right over top, it would be a mess. You wouldn't be able to see either of those things. But yeah, here I'm basically gotten a bit ahead of myself. Here, again, like I said, I'm trying to fix his head, and the fix that I do does kind of make sense. Extending the back of his head a bit. But the hair was not working for me for some reason, and I just thought, this doesn't make sense. Why am I struggling with this? I took a moment to kind of pause and reflect on it, look at the original sketch. Let me know if you guys like seeing me pause and kind of consider what I've done, or if you want me to cut that out and just show you the drawing. I thought I'd cut out a lot more of the pauses here, but I guess I left that one in. I'm actually a little bit glad about that. So I basically just ended up going with the original. I think the back of his head is a bit small now that I see it, but you know what? I think it's okay, for a Christmas card. Maybe when I go and do the inking, I'll fix that up. But so I found this jacket off the internet. Again, references are not cheating. If you happen to think that, they're valuable, and you really need to use them, because how are you just supposed to magically know what what a punkish, old school style, leather jacket with spikes is supposed to look like if you've never seen or studied one before. So yeah, here I'm making the jacket, doing the spikes, kind of considering how much I want to have. I kind of go into a bit too much detail because I start really having fun with this jacket. And it's like, oh yeah, put these here, put some spikes here, put some studs here, maybe add a bit of this there, yada, yada, yada. And I totally forgot that I've got to write this big ol' naughty right across all of this beautiful detail that I've made. But that's something for me to figure out and deal with later. Basically, all I'm doing in this episode is doing the base sketch, the discussion rough, which, is called the discussion rough because then you kind of discuss it with your client. But I'm my only client in this case, so it's a quiet discussion where I look at it and I'm like, is it good? Yes or no? If it's a yes, then cool, we move on. And if it's a no, then I redo another one, or I go in and try and fix what isn't working. Here I'm just adding chains, studs, that sort of stuff to the base, and little skulls and whatever things. And I wanted to go really in depth on this jacket and like what sort of stuff would he wear? Like would it be like a Santa skull, like what I'm kind of doing now? What would a modern Krampus wear? If he was bad to the bone. But I wasn't able to put in as much because, again, a Christmas card is actually quite small, even smaller than what I think some people think of when they think about doing one. And, a lot of my illustrator friends work a lot bigger than this, and they're like, oh, you should totally do this and write this name here and put this here. And, then I nod and smile, but, I'd know that, yeah, I've got a 5x7 canvas. I could spend an hour doing all these details that would look cool, but nobody would notice them except you and I. And, but, experience, you get experience from doing stuff, right? So obviously I've done more Christmas cards than a lot of the friends and people that give me advice on them. So, I guess what I'm saying is when you get criticism, take it, listen to it, but it's ultimately up to you whether you choose to do it or not. And sometimes not doing it is totally fine. You don't have to tell the person you're not going to follow their advice. But yeah, so here I am just figuring some stuff out. I'm now moving on to the words, and I think that pause there was the moment I realized I would be writing the words naughty over this beautiful jacket that I'd done. So now I'm trying to find out, how do I want to do these words? Do I want to write them with text, or do I want to draw them? You'll notice that in the last few episodes, you've only seen me do one other card other than this, but I tend to hand do my type. It's just because when you draw something and it's got a very distinct style, which is usually illustration, you want to make sure your typeface, aka your words, we call it typeface, not font. Font is a digital typeface. It's kind of confusing, but I call it a typeface. You want your typeface to match the style of your drawing. So in this case, I've drawn this edgy character, and now I'm trying to do this sort of very textural red type. And the best way to do that is just to draw it. You saw it didn't take much time there at all. That took me less time than trying to find a digital one that would inevitably, every U, every E would look the same, and that can deaden your work. It can make it look way more computerized than you really want your sketches and stuff to look. It's like if you opened up somebody's sketchbook like mine and you saw some notes, but they were pasted there in Times New Roman. It would be very weird and jarring, and you would think about it way more like, why is there Times New Roman in the sketchbook, than if I just, wrote in my own hand. Hopefully that made sense. Here I'm now working on the inside of the card. So as you can tell, a lot of the sketches that I did for the Krampus card are just coming straight out of my sketchbook, and I'm just modifying them, basically. Nothing wrong with that either. You drew it, you can use it. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't, that you have to redraw stuff from scratch. That's just dumb. It's a game of trying to save time while making beautiful art, and you don't want to rush yourself, but you also don't want to just redo stuff for some reason where you think you have to. But here I am just modifying his jacket to make him, more in line with the one on the front. And yeah, I really like this cute little design. This sold me on the Krampus card. I was already sold on it because the other cute Krampus that I drew in episode 26, I believe it was. But this one was such a winner that this really set the tone for the whole card. It was, there were some times where I'm like, well, maybe it'll be a serious, like, heavy metal style card with a screaming detailed Krampus face in the front. But once I drew this cute little guy, I'm like, no, it's gonna be sort of like a cartoony, cool guy, but, he's also kind of a cute little chibi character. Kind of, I guess, what you'd expect from, like, a kid's TV show, like, really fun, really action-based, but, not, like, scary dangerous, but, kind of dangerous in a cool way. And yeah, so I don't actually redraw all the lines here. I think I actually leave out the horns, which I actually went back and resized a little later on. But yeah, I'm just basically establishing problem lines, drawing on new stuff. Like here, I wanted to make sure his tongue and his teeth worked. I didn't want his tongue to be looking like it was getting punctured by a tooth or something. And again, just more details on the jacket, and I actually left his right hand on our left untouched because it was fine. I only changed up the other one because I had sort of drawn the sketch over something else, and I wanted the lines to be clear, so when I came back and inked, all I had to do was fade it out and just bam, draw some black lines and good to go. So here I found the same brush that I wrote the front in, you've been naughty, and here I just write Merry Krampus, and I wrote it once and I was pretty happy with it. I was like, yeah, I like that little slant of the Krampus. Very organic again, you wouldn't get that from a typeface. And here I just instantly go to the back, reusing the same symbol and words, and I'm just changing the font, to a little bit more of an edgy, bold comic font. I can't remember what it's called. If you might be able to see up on the screen there, the one that I use. And yeah, so then just make that red, and then I just took this image right here because I really liked it, popped it right there, did a little bit of touch up, but there really wasn't much to change about this guy. It's a winner in my books. Maybe I'll go back and add the glasses, but it is the back of the card. And while, you should consider all sides of the design, I looked at this and I'm just like, this is good. I don't need to do any lines. Future Tegan's gonna know exactly what to do with that when it's time to ink that. I just put on the tips of the horns, for the sake of it, and strengthened up the cigar a little bit. And that was basically it. Yeah. So that's basically the design. I did go on to do a postcard version of that, but that's not so important to show. I may or may not show it here, actually. I don't remember if I put the footage in. I started doing these sort of like postcard export versions, and I realized there was no point to do that for these work in progress cards, just because I would be inking this art and coloring this art, and there was no point in me constantly copying and repasting and reformatting it in the postcard version. I would just basically do that at the end. Though I did do a few just to check that the concepts were working, and that I wasn't going to get a nasty surprise. Here we go. I'm actually working on the back of the postcard, and I'm just making sure I don't get some kind of nasty surprise when what I think in my head isn't doable. So for this one, I actually took the words and I put them on the side there, which I've never really done before. Made them smaller because there's not much room on a 4x6 postcard, and then I'm basically gonna post. I'll show you what. I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna post it right here. And I'm going to make it all a little bit smaller because right now there's not a whole lot of room to write if you're buying this tiny, tiny postcard to write a few nice words to the Krampus in your life or the rebel or whatever. I'm not really sure quite yet who would buy a Krampus card, but there you go. That's basically it. I think I go on and fiddle with it a little bit more, but that's basically the meat of it. And yeah. And that's it, guys. Have a good evening, and like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye!